How have you built that team? How have the Devs and the Harshes and X's and the Y's been built up to create Josh?
So I believe that we run Josh very differently from how a traditional startup is run.
How? Tell me how.
So we don't have a founder culture. What I mean by that, I'll clarify. So Supriya is CEO and three of us more, but since we are taking, since I took the earlier example of speaking in the morning to Harsh and Dev, I'll continue with that example. Harsh, Dev and Supriya. Harsh, Dev and I report to Supriya, where L1 essentially therefore is the four of us.
As vertical heads.
Sometimes we are solving the same problems or like whatever is the key new problem to solve somewhere.
So you're the super boss.
Yeah, absolutely. That we very clearly run it like that. And the amount of authority.
That's why I'm sitting like this.
Of course.
And it can change quarter to quarter, not the structure, but the amount of authority that, for example, right now Harsh or Dev have is a lot more than what I have, because they're running really large functions and really large teams, and I'm not. So,
and it's across the organization, right? Like he's using the example of Harsh and Dev, but you've met Shinab, you've met Parul,
I've met a
Mitul.
whole bunch of them.
Yeah, they all lead different verticals.
I want to look at it slightly differently. Hai na? I think what you're bringing in to a great extent is the organizational culture of Josh. And it's very bespoke, very unique.
Yeah.
थोड़ा सा इसको हम broad base करेंगे. Because end of the day, from a founder perspective, it is the both of you first. I want to bring
He's going to keep saying it because...
Actually, it's not.
Yeah.
Actually, it is not. I am extremely opinionated about this in the organization, and I have not allowed it to be. We cannot be. So I am very inspired. So I grew up reading books like Stories of GE or very different kind of companies. I actually never wanted to become a founder. I was not interested in the startup culture at all. But I was very interested in, for example, my mom is a Radha Swami. In the Radha Swami organization structure or the General Electric organization structure. Or if I can take the example of a few others, I would even include Patanjali or RSS or other organizations and their organization structures. So in our mind, the world may perceive us as a startup today, but we are not building like that. We are building very, very differently, where essentially the word founder and our jobs don't matter are nothing to do with the founder, the word. We all have our KRA and we do that.
Perfect.
And
इसको मैं थोड़ा अलग करूँगा. This is also a result of evolution. This is a result of where Josh is today. Take it back 10 years. Take it back to the time when you started out.
Yeah.
Evolution of this was maybe a vision, but it would have been a macro vision. ये micros में जो तू आ रहा है ना, ये आज है as a matter of your size, आज है as a matter of your cohort, and therefore you know that now the micros can align to the macro. लेकिन जब कोई शुरू कर रहा है, because again as I said, a lot of our viewers are the ones who are going to start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of our viewers are the ones who are going to join.
Yeah.
So जब you rewind your mind frame now, take yourself 7-8 years back when you were building the team. Because there was a time when you hired a Dev, you hired a Shinab, you hired a Harsh, you hired XYZ.
Yeah.
What was the mindset of hiring that right people? What I want to take out from you all, for the benefit of our viewers, what do the entrepreneurs or the starters of the organization think of as key qualities when it comes to hiring and key qualities as to when not to hire? So therefore the red flags and the green flags. Let's talk a bit about that, because today I appreciate what you're doing, but this would not have been the situation 7 years earlier. And we have to look at the whole piece, right? So tell me the whole piece story.
So, we spoke of culture in the middle, right? I think culture also defines the way that you hire and the type of people that you bring on, because it becomes the only parameter to decide whether someone actually comes to Josh or, doesn't come. We are not an organization where we, advocate that you need to be the most skilled person for the role, because none of us are skilled in what we are doing today. We don't have a background in formal education in what we are creating here, right? And so it's become this place of almost rebellion, that people who rebel, people who take charge, people who take high degree of ownership, people who show responsibility in times when others don't, are the people who succeed at Josh. There is no hierarchy. It's a completely flat culture. So if you're doing something right, you're going to be spotted immediately, because you don't have to take that approval from a senior to post something, to be recognized, whatever, right? So as a result of that, I think hiring, it's almost become like we know the DNA to survive at Josh and we know the DNA to thrive at Josh. And that has become the parameter for getting the right kind of people on board. So it's structured in a way where there is, of course, weightage given to, like what you've studied, where you come from, what have you done over there, what was your achievement like in your past life, what roles have you played, etc. But a lot of it is culture orientation. And sometimes it happens before we hire, but we also have like unlimited belief in people. So I think if there is someone who's just showing that vigor in an interview, who's just showing that they've not got an opportunity before, but here they're going to show us that that opportunity is going to be worthwhile, we take that risk and we ensure that we spend a lot of time on culture immersion. Because like the fundamental belief of the platform is that anybody can do anything, right? So how are we not propagating that within the organization? Harsh leads tech today is not an engineer, and nobody can question him on that. Nobody has he knows more than anyone else who's had a formal degree of education would be able to say, right? Varun and Mitul in partnerships have never held monetization roles before. They've studied I don't even know what they've studied, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you come from, what you've done. If you just have that, if you're inspired to be working in an organization like Josh, you have the same goal or alignment from a mission perspective, you want to leave the world in a better place than where you saw it, you will fit here. And ownership is a part of every position. Like, you are in charge of your future over here. A lot of organizations make career tracks for you, where they say, okay, you're an associate and then you're going to be senior associate and then you're going to over the period of 10 years make partner. But for us, that it doesn't exist, because you could be a research associate and then the next day you're leading all of Josh talks. Those are the success stories at Josh, right? And so it doesn't matter where you started. In 1 year, you could be anywhere.
During hiring, the key thing I think that we do without saying it is looking for evidence of exceptional ability.
Yeah.
Not skill so much, because none of what we do is rocket science. A lot of this can be just taught.
Yeah.
So there is very heavy weightage for evidence for exceptional ability. Is there any evidence for exceptional ability if somebody is 24, 26 joining? 26 years, you got a few chances to show if you have you could have generated a few evidence points of exceptional ability, and a lot of the times that's visible. A lot of the times you have to hunt a little bit further to find them.
Scrape the surface a bit.
Scrape the surface, and that's essentially what our interview process is. And once people are in, and they have shown in the past evidence of exceptional ability, then it's on to Josh Talks to train people incredibly well, not just on the skill set, but also on how to
be
behave.
The springboard.
Yeah.
And the catalyst in their career.
Yeah.
Talk a bit about the red flags. What are the absolute no-goes for US founders? Leave aside Josh. Talk about Supriya and Shobhit. What are the no-goes in hiring for a founder?
I think one of the red flags that I've now started noticing in interviews is when the person is too much about themselves. And uses this as an opportunity to boast, to just and it's great. Yeah, it's great to be a person who recognizes their skill sets and wants to talk about it. But for me, that's one red flag, where everything in the end becomes about you and it's not about the organization or the role you played. I love to listen to conversations which are about the role and what you did in that role and how that benefited the organization, rather than me being the person who kind of led the entire effort. So I think that's something. The second thing which I've started noticing right now, and maybe it's because it's a function of the kind of books that I'm reading and what I'm learning, is that people who don't listen well don't succeed. And if you look at the best leaders across the world, they have this common trait of listening. So someone who's in an interview who's just talking, who's waiting for the question to be asked before they can cut in and start asking or counter responding to something, is someone who's an absolute. That is my in a way a pet peeve. I will not go past a 5-minute conversation if the person on the other end doesn't know how to listen well. But other than that, I think everything is open. And it's very interesting. I think also because we don't have like these requirements, like we need to only hire from B schools, or we need to hire engineers for engineering roles, or we need to hire content background for content roles. You meet such diverse people that it's crazy. Like if you walk around and you just talk to someone and you will just be like, okay, why is a UPSC aspirant who's failed thrice in the exam running product over here? Like, what's happening? You won't be able to make sense of what's there. But the passion is the same in everyone.
जुनून और शिद्दत वही चीज आगे ले जाता है. Anything at your end which is a red flag?
So I hunt for depth. So I'll ask like, so if somebody has depth, they can answer some questions with deep opinions, or they'll say I don't know. Like, you know, I'll give an example. It doesn't matter what the role is, but so we hire a lot of counselors at Josh who speak to students and actually help them do well in their life. And so one of the tasks we do for those counselors is they submit this call recording. So we have lots of call recordings from counselors. So we have to judge based on the call recording whether this person is a right fit for Josh or not. So I would often make, let's say I'm hiring some totally different position, nothing to do with this counseling or call recording, or they'll never have to hire in their life. But I'll make them listen to these 2 call recordings and say, who would you hire and why? Tell me, you know, what kind of a person is this? Whose call recording they're listening to? The depth of that answer
Showcases the DNA.
Either the person will say, I have no idea. That's a fantastic answer also.
That's also a fair answer because he's being honest.
Absolutely. And the other really good answer is, if this person is saying, this person who we are listening to the call recording of must be from a small town, because he's able to connect really well with this person. And you know, this question that he asked, this haha that he did after listening to somebody, his EQ is really high.
Connected.
Right? Or there'll be, it won't be ki, हाँ ये call अच्छा है.
Not superficial. Goes into that.
Goes into depth.
Granularity.
So I would often ask this
This is beautiful.
question
This is beautiful.
To check for depth.